Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the WR Meadows podcast. My name is Riley, and with me, as always, is Jason.
Hello, everybody.
And with us today is a very special guest. We have Peter Brooks.
Hi, everybody.
Peter, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. It's nice to be on.
Good. Thanks for joining us. So, Peter, you run a company called IR Analyzers. Can you tell us about that, what you do there, how it started, and the plethora of experience? We want all the background on you.
Sure. Well, what my company does is we test roofing and waterproofing systems. And we do that with a variety of sophisticated tools. We do roof moisture surveys and we do electronic leak detection. And we started out really quite small. We started in a spare bedroom out of my house. And back in the day, I was dialing a rotary phone, trying to find people to talk to so that I could explain to them what infrared scanning was. This was 38 years ago. And so people didn't really know what I was up to. So my first task was to educate them. And we've really been in the education business ever since. So I'd been in construction for a while. I'd been a small contractor. And when this opportunity came up, I got quite excited about the information you could get with the infrared camera. So we started out doing that kind of testing. And then over the years, we've added several other tests to the toolbox, including nuclear and capacitance moisture surveys. So for years, we were doing these moisture tests and we were pinpointing where people's wet insulation was so they could make better decisions about their what direction they might want to go. And my customers started asking me, can you provide us with leak detection? We had been having to say to people for years, no, infrared doesn't really pinpoint your leaks. It pinpoints where there's moisture damage. But my customers started saying, we need leak detection. It can find a pinhole in a membrane. And I was pretty skeptical of that. I wasn't at all sure that could be right. We researched it quite a lot, found out that it did seem to have incredible value, started buying the equipment, and now we also provide all three types of electronic leak detection. And leak detection, of course, is designed to find exactly where the water is getting into the building, where the holes are in the membrane. And so we started out in New England and quickly outgrew New England, and now we cover the entire country. And we've tested over 10,000 roofs.
Peter, in those early days, how did you find customers, or how did they reach to you to use your expertise in technology?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question. We really created bridges to the roofing community. We started working with contractors and consultants and even with manufacturers. All of these people benefit from having better information about what the real condition of the roof is. And so we started building this network of people who had similar interests that we did, and we could fulfill that testing role for them.
So, Peter, you mentioned about the different types of testing you now have available. So that kind of lends itself well to my next question. So what types of tests does IR Analyzers typically use? And what kind of equipment are you using to ensure the quality of those results?
Mm-hmm. So we have three different types of moisture testing. And of course, this is the older technology, been around quite a long time. We do infrared scanning, we do nuclear roof moisture surveys, and we do capacitance surveys. And an important takeaway here is that there really is no one size fits all. Some assemblies will test well with one technique, but not with another. And even some parts of a roof, say, will test well with the infrared camera, while other areas may be shaded. And if the roof doesn't get sunshine, it won't give you good thermal images. And so you
Mhm.
need to back up or cross check your infrared information with nuclear or capacitance testing. Sometimes we use all three types on one roof to get the best information. And we also do three types of leak detection for the same reasons. Some roofs won't respond that well to one type, or some parts of a roof won't respond well to a certain type. So we often use two and occasionally even three kinds of leak detection on the same project. And we also, we're a distributor for a primer, a true ground primer for leak detection that ensures that insulated systems can be accurately tested and that they meet the ASTM standards. So that's been kind of an important factor, is making sure that accurate information comes out of the survey.
Peter, with your testing methods and all the work you guys have done, have you noticed where leaks typically happen in an assembly, in a roof, in a membrane?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think most people in the industry will say leaks are much more likely to happen where there's transitions or flashings or curbs or parapets, where special work has to be done to make the roof watertight. The actual field of the roof, that big, 10,000 square feet, that is the part of the roof that's probably the easiest to get right. So you have the careful work that is challenging. And then, of course, you have construction damage. And this has always been kind of amazing to me, how many trades will damage a roof. People who work with bricks or steel or siding or windows will damage roofs pretty often. So you can get leaks from other trades working on a perfectly good roof.
Mhm. So Peter, I guess my next question would be like, what are some of the benefits of having your test done versus not having your test done? So Jason mentioned leaks and just the costliness of that. So I guess in your experience, has there been like here are the benefits because we meet this ASTM. Here are some cost savings if you don't. Why is it important? How have you been able to navigate that?
Mhm. Well, that's a good question. Uh, what we have found over the years is that you get better decisions made when you have better information. And roofs are such an expensive asset on the building, and they're such a critical asset uh, that once you're looking at a situation and trying to decide is there a problem with this roof? Where would these problems be occurring? How bad are they? The testing can answer those questions, and there's really no substitute for it. Uh, you can't make a judgment call about how badly water damaged a roof is. You need a test. You can't make a judgment call about how many leaks there are or how many leaks there are going to be in this system. You really need to test.
Mm-hmm.
This way, everybody understands the true conditions, and it opens up better options, options that can save you time and money by ensuring that you're accurately diagnosing the problem to begin with, because you want long-term performance out of a roof. When I started out many years ago, roofs were $2 or $3 a square foot. If a roof didn't pan out very well for you, you took it off and put another one on. Well, those days are long gone.
Peter, in the projects you guys are doing right now, do you see a lot of jobs where the infrared testing detection is required, or is that more of like something a contractor would want to do or an owner just to make sure everything is done right?
That's a very good question. Yeah, and certainly some contractors, some owners will step up and say, I know that this is a great service. I want it for my project. But what has really happened is we've gone from me trying to explain to people how infrared scanning works and how it would help you out to it becoming a really very standard part of the industry. And leak detection has become a really standard uh, specified situation. A lot of that is because we want to turn over a better product to the owner. Everybody does, whether you're a manufacturer or a consultant or a contractor. It's in everybody's interest to get the highest quality product. And now with these tests, we have ways of ensuring that we get a high quality product and establishing that the roof has integrity. So it's really changed from something that happens occasionally to being a very regular part of the information everybody wants to have about a roof.
Okay, that's a great point. That technology has certainly changed over the last 30 years. Peter, my next question is, I was going through the IR Analyzer's websites and I was looking at projects. So I was hoping you could give us some insight of what your favorite projects have been over the years. And I saw something pretty interesting on your website of you guys worked on the Statue of Liberty. And that's like a pretty big monument. So I'd love to hear about that experience and just some of your all-time favorite projects that you've worked on.
Sure. Well, there are so many. It's a little bit hard to pick. It's like saying, who's your favorite child? But the Statue of Liberty was certainly very exciting for all of us, for the consultant, the manufacturer, the contractor, taking the ferry out to Liberty Island and being at that iconic place. That was very cool. Another thing that was exciting for us was all the testing we did at the World Trade Center. Tested the entire roof and a lot of the park that's in the grounds around the World Trade Center. We've worked so many, in Chicago at Willis Tower, that's a kind of quite a landmark. In San Francisco, we did a big green roof and solar installation test at the UN Plaza. The Miami Beach Convention Center was another very exciting project, very big, brand new. And I guess probably Madison Square Garden was a big, was quite an interesting thing. They rehabbed it almost entirely, and we tested the entire roof and the New York Rangers ice rink. You don't really think about these things when you go to watch a hockey game, but that rink has to be watertight. And so we did all the testing to ensure that there weren't going to be any leaks. So we've had so many exciting projects across the U.S. and Mexico. We do cover the whole country, so we've been pretty much everywhere. So those are some of the big highlights.
And these are fairly massive jobs. I'm not really familiar with the actual process of the testing. How long would it take to actually do the testing for these large scale jobs?
A lot of them. That's a good question too. A lot of jobs are phased. A lot of construction work is phased. So we might end up going. We probably went to the World Trade Center 20 times. Madison Square Garden, when we did the ice rink, that was an incredibly time. We did it on a Sunday morning. Everything about rehabbing that facility when it wasn't making any money meant that people worked 24/7 on that. And so we had to be on call for days until the exact moment the membrane was done. And then we showed up to test it. And so, even though it's a big ice rink, with our techniques, we were able to test it in one day.
Nice.
So it's really all over the map. If we do a 500,000 square foot data center, we might be on that project 10 or 12 days.
Okay, Peter. So we're winding down to our last couple questions, but what is one piece of advice you'd give to an architect, engineer, contractor, or building owner about like the bailiwick of your services?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think really I have kind of two pieces of advice that kind of go together. One is use an independent third-party firm for this kind of testing. You need unbiased information. You want to get the most accurate possible picture. And you don't want anybody who has an axe to grind, if I can be blunt, in the picture doing some of this testing. Somebody who might benefit from a certain result from the testing. You need independence with this. And you also need people with plenty of experience. It gets complicated. You want the best possible picture of what's happening. And it often takes multiple test types to get the right information. There is no one size fits all in the testing world. Sometimes you'll go to a project and you'll think, well, I'll use type X, and type X doesn't turn out to work well at all, and you got to switch to Y. Sometimes we've used, as I said, 3 test types on one project. And so you need people with experience, with good equipment, and you need people that do the testing a lot. You don't want somebody who occasionally goes out and does a little bit of testing, but that isn't really their job. You want someone who does this day in and day out. Those are the kind of people who really have the experience to work through problems and get good information.
Yeah, that's good insight. Okay, so this gets us down to our last question. So I didn't send you this question because we like to keep you on your toes. So we call it the quirky question. It's the last question we ask. So Peter, if you made a career shift right now, what would you want to do and why? So you can pick any other career, but ASTM testing and water leaking testing, not an option. You got to do something else.
I have to do something else.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Okay, well, I'm not too flighty. I've done this for over 38 years. So what would I do? Well, I love construction. I might go right back into building things. I love woodworking. So I've thought that I could do volunteer work that would involve construction. And that probably working with my hands would probably be something that'd be very satisfying for me. So that's a good question.
Jason, Peter definitely has a lot more skills to fall back on than you and I do. Hey, Jason,
true.
what would you do?
This is true. So if it was me, I would I'm thinking of ways to improve myself. So I think I would be a mixed martial artist just so I can get into shape.
Okay.
I'd probably be a bad one, but at least I'd be in shape.
I think the money might be hard to come by as a mixed martial artist.
That is true. But if I had my choice, that's probably a bad choice, but I'm sticking with it.
All right. So do you follow MMA quite a bit?
I do, yes.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, well, I can't top that because I can't. I have no skills with wood, and I'm not going to be a mixed martial artist. So I'm not sure what I'd do. I would maybe consider maybe author or lawyer. I think those would be the two I'd maybe go into.
All right.
So what would be the book you'd write, Riley?
I don't know, man. How to change your career from marketing to writer? I don't know. That feels like it would make sense.
Good niche.
Oh man,
you're good with language, so you've got a jump on it for sure.
There we go. Well, that's good. Hopefully, we can stick to our day jobs and we can just keep at it. And we
I
don't
think
have to career change.
I think you'd be a great motivational speaker. I think if you should think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. I just got to convince people to pay me to hear me talk. So that could be a tough sell.
Other people seem to be able to do it.
There's a niche for somebody. Okay, well, that pretty much wraps up our show. So, Peter, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your process. We're going to link to your website. So, if people want more information about IR analyzers, please just go reach them out. They do great work. They're a great company. So, Peter, again, thank you for your time. We look forward to just putting this out there. And if you guys want more construction information, please subscribe to our podcast. That's all.
Well, thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter.